following is a video showing you how I made the desk you see here in these pics by using furniture parts from IKEA. A complete list of the parts used is available in the video description down below. Let's start with the Kallax. The Kallax is the base of the desk. You can use one if you like, or two if you desire a deeper desk with more space for storage. You'll also need 2 pairs of Capitas for mounting the shelves, 2 small shelves for speakers, and 1 long shelf for laptops and controllers. Although the instructional guide seems a bit daunting, the Kallax was quite simple to assemble. It took about 15 minutes. And here's the completed Kallax in all of its glory. This bolt comes with the Capita. We'll use it to mount the Capita to the Kallax and later to mount the shelves. Find a good spot to mount the Capita and drill a hole in the top of the Kallax, big enough for the bolt to screw through like you see here. Clean the dust off the particle board and you're ready for the next step. Let's move on. Next, we'll attach the Capita to the Kallax to get a good feel for how we want it positioned. I would not recommend twisting it on like I did here in the video, as it will scratch the surface of the Kallax. What you should do is screw the bolt into the Capita from the bottom with a wrench. Seems sturdy enough. You could have the angle facing in or out. It's up to you. Measure where you placed the first hole and follow the same steps on the other end of the Kallax. You can place a piece of paper or thin cardboard down before attaching the Capita to prevent it from scratching the Kallax surface. I've made some mistakes as this was my first build and I managed to scratch the surface a little. I pretty much went at this guerrilla style, so please feel free to do what you think is best. Now let's move on to the first of 3 shelves. The long shelf is for your laptop and controllers. Place the long shelf on the Capitas while they're mounted to the Kallax, and use the Sharpie to draw in guides for your screw holes on the underside of the long shelf. Now remove your Capitas and line them up. Now line the Capita up with the guides. Use your small drill bit and drill small holes at the guide points so that you can easily screw your small screws in when you attach the Capita to this top shelf. Line up the screws and use a Phillips head screwdriver to attach the Capita to the top shelf. As I mentioned earlier, you could have the angle of the Capitas going inward or outward. It's pretty much up to you. Just make sure you decide that before you put any holes in the furniture. Now, connect the top shelf to the Kallax by lining up the Capitas to the bolts and twist the bolts in from the underside of the Kallax top. Now let's move on to the small speaker shelves. Drill a hole through the top long laptop shelf like we did earlier with the Kallax. We will use large bolts to connect the small shelves to the long shelf with a second pair of Capitas. The bolts that came with the Capitas are not long enough in this case, as the top shelves don't really match the rest of the desk. So I went to the hardware store and got longer bolts. I recommend you do the same. I used the big plastic washer from the Capita bolts for support, as you see here. Connect your Capita to the top shelf and check the positioning. Make sure everything's good. If you're happy with that position, repeat the same steps on the other end of that top shelf and check the position there as well. You'll need to remove your Capitas for the next step. Now with your Capita removed, do the same thing we did earlier and draw drill guides with the silver Sharpie. Place the Capita dead center of the small shelf and place your guide dots. Use the small screws to attach the Capita to the small shelf and then connect it to the long shelf with the extra long bolt. Use a wrench to tighten the bolt. Follow the same steps for the second small shelf, and you're done.
There have been many attempts to do what it is that we're doing. right here, right now, today. All of us here together, strictly for the love of house music. For the love of house, for the love of beats, for the love of dance. For the love of house, for the love of beats, for the love of dance. Strictly for the love. Strictly for the love.